Coming up.
No, are you really?
I thought it was one of my selling points.
Is it Desdemona?
How do you say that?
Is that not becoming a thing of the past?
Of course I can do Northern.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Hey, it's me.
The pressure they go all through.
Now it's just sitting deflated in my garage.
That's so sad.
I think I was also less seasoned than I might have been.
I don't know, you see it all the time.
And now, enjoy the podcast.
How do you say that?
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 Hello and welcome to today's episode of How Do You Say That? Sponsored by britishvoiceover.co.uk. It's the show dedicated to anyone who's ever had to read a script out loud in front of a microphone. And here is my co-host, Mark Rice.
Hello.
Hi, and now today's fun fact about Mark is he loved having a hot tub on the patio until the energy prices rocketed. And now he's got a paddling pool instead.
Which is not nearly so much fun because it's cold water rather than hot water. But, oh my God,
so
they were so expensive. It is sad, but they were so expensive. And then the energy prices, now it's just sitting deflated in my garage. Which is also
Well, you could always go, if it's cold water, you could go cold water rafting.
Ooh.
It's not quite that big, the paddling pool, but yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Well, my co-host is Sam Boffin, and her fun fact is that her middle name is her dad's favourite Shakespearean heroine. Is it Desdemona?
No.
Is it Juliet?
No.
Is
it Now You've Run Out? No, and it's not Titania either.
Okay.
It is Rosalind from As You Like It.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And of course, we also have a special guest this week, and this week it's Margaret Ashley. Hi, Margaret, and thank you for coming on the show. I know you've waited a long time to be on.
That's my pleasure. I'm glad you finally asked me.
We did it. You were always on our list, so absolutely. Very much so.
Always on our list. Now, Margaret is an award-winning voice actor who works across all voiceover genres, from animated characters to serious and compelling narration. She is a native Geordie. I didn't know you were a native Geordie.
Didn't you?
I absolutely
I
didn't
thought
know.
it was one of my selling points.
Well,
I'm amazed.
It's interesting. I didn't know. And you're a trained character actress. And because of that, and a number of other things, she can do all sorts of accents. So RP, Scouse, Yorkshire Welsh, General Northern. I love this. General Northern and Southern, whatever General Northern and Southern means.
I do General Northern. You've heard my General
I mean, people
Northern.
say, can you do Northern? Can you do Southern? Of course I can do Northern.
I really hope is that not becoming a thing of the past? Generic Northern and Southern?
No, I don't think it is.
I don't know, you see it all the time.
You see it all the time, yeah.
I just said that.
Anyway, Margaret has worked for the V&A, National Geographic, English Heritage, IBM, BBC, Big Finish Productions, Unilever and Waterstones, and I love this bit. Her voice can comfortably stretch from mid-40s to old crones, and she can even play children for animation and dubbing projects. It's amazing. You have great range, Margaret. But do you have a fun fact for us?
Well, despite the fact that Sam didn't know I was a native Geordie, having been born and brought up in Newcastle-upon-Tyne, I'm actually a award-winning champion cake maker.
Oh.
No, are you really?
I've got cups and silver salvers and all sorts of things.
Do you have a favourite cake
Oh.
to make?
Well, there's two, because my family just demand them all the time. It's the favourite everybody has, lemon drizzle cake,
Oh, that is
or
good though.
coffee and walnut. Any birthday, it's always coffee and
Wow.
walnut.
Two of my favourite cakes.
So are they
two.
pushing you to go on Bake Off?
They did for a while, but
Why didn't you? You'd be brilliant on Bake Off,
would.
surely.
look at the pressure they go all
Yeah.
through. Oh, no, the pressure.
You're so
I'd be
right.
screaming and shouting.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
or collapsing in a heap.
Well, let's have a look at our first script of the show, shall we? And ask, how do you say that?
How do you say that?
So this is something that I did last week for a Swiss company.
Oh, okay.
It was one of about 3 different things. And obviously, you'll see as you begin, it's a middling bit from a longer script. And I just chose it because it was a kind of neat 30 seconds or so. And it's a list.
Yeah, it is a list, but
It's
I
a
wonder
list.
because you've actually highlighted some words, you've bolded some words. Is that how it came to you?
That's how it came to me.
Do we know if it's B2C or B2B?
It is B2B.
Okay. So maybe slightly more corporate and slightly less conversational than B2C.
Wow. Well, no, not necessarily, actually. So it's an internal piece. It's quite relaxed.
Okay.
And I suppose the interesting thing about those bits that were in bold, and I will tell you this actually before we do them.
Okay.
Do you know, I'm speaking over my water bottle. Can you hear that? It's
A little bit I can. It's echoey.
It's
You're
slightly
speaking
echoey,
into
isn't
your
it?
water bottle.
No,
Water bottle.
I'm nowhere near it, but it's a big water
I'm
bottle.
speaking into my water bottle.
No, I'm speaking into my glass.
My water bottle is on the desk,
Is
a long
it?
way away from me.
Wow, that
so
is
I have
impressive.
to be really careful. I have to cover it up. Anyway, so the interesting thing about the bolded bits was that when I did it for the first read through, I did, dial them up slightly.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh no, we don't want them." I think they said, "We've led you down the wrong idea there. That's for us when we're looking at it, because those are the graphics that are appearing on screen.
Oh, I see.
But we don't want you to particularly point them up. We want it to feel really natural."
So actually, when a client is writing a script, they've got to be really careful about that kind of thing, because it does look as if it's it's a direction for the voiceover.
Luckily, as usual, I hadn't practiced it, so so that didn't
interesting.
faze me particularly.
So ignore the bold.
Ignore the
Is
bold.
what I'm getting from that. Okay.
Which I was trying to do. It's actually, once it's there in bold, your brain sees it.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That is true.
That's why I left it there, actually, because I thought it would be another added little layer. To
Oh,
avoid.
thank you, Sam. So
Thanks,
kind.
Sam. Yeah. Always good. She always brings something to trip us up a little bit, Margaret. Right. Or shall I have a go then?
Yes, you have a go.
Okay. The first element of due diligence implies adopting a policy commitment to respect all internationally recognised human rights. Secondly, you periodically assess the risks and impacts along your full value chain. Accordingly, you implement measures to address the identified issues in a third step. The fourth element involves embedding human rights throughout the relevant functions of the organisation, such as human resources, procurement, and internal audit.
Nice pace. Really nice pace.
I think that really helped, you telling me to ignore the bold.
Yes, good.
Really helped. But as you said, Margaret, your brain tries to trip you up on it.
Yeah. It probably needs to be a little more relaxed than you gave it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. So I think that it had that kind of slightly corporate-y feel. What do you think, Margaret?
It was almost getting to conversational, but not quite. So yes, there was that bit of corporate in it, which, as you just said, it needed to be more internal and more natural. So just relax a bit.
I would do it again, but I'm not allowed.
You're not allowed. You're only allowed to do it once.
Only allowed to do it once. It's
You've
like,
got one.
okay. Which does mean, Margaret, that
I've got to do
it's
it
kind
now.
of warmed up for you, slightly.
Yeah, warm up my lips.
Oh, yes, do the trills. Nice, lovely.
Oh, and the other thing is, although you wouldn't have necessarily known that, and I don't even know if that it's particularly relevant for this particular read, but there is another sentence which I didn't leave in after the fourth element at the end. So actually, the fourth element bit,
It's the fifth element.
Well, no, there isn't. There isn't a fifth element, but that isn't actually the absolute end of that section.
Oh, so it
But
doesn't
be
need
honest,
to be as final.
Yeah, but I don't know if that makes a difference really.
Go on, Margaret.
Okay. The first element of due diligence implies adopting a policy commitment to respect all internationally recognised human rights. Secondly, you periodically assess the risks and impacts along your full value chain. Accordingly, you implement measures to address the identified issues in a third step. The fourth element involves embedding human rights throughout the relevant functions of the organisation, such as human resources, procurement, and internal audit.
Yes, you certainly dialed up the conversational there, but very much so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really nice. You've got a lovely low voice, Margaret. So it felt like very trustworthy.
Yes, it
course.
did. No, that's
That
a
is
really
me.
good way of putting it. It did feel trustworthy. And I tell you what I noticed as well. You hit each of the you and yours in there really well. And I think that brought, as a listener, me right back to, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're telling them to do, isn't it? So.
Yeah, indeed. This is very true. Now Sam's going to do it like as a little girl or something. What was the actual
They
direction
wanted
then?
me to be a 4-year-old mouse. No, they didn't. They didn't want me to be anything like that. This is how I think I did it.
Okay.
The first element of due diligence implies adopting a policy commitment to respect all internationally recognised human rights. Secondly, you periodically assess the risks and impacts along your full value chain. Accordingly, you implement measures to address the identified issues in a third step. The fourth element involves embedding human rights throughout the relevant functions of the organisation, such as human resources, procurement, and internal audit.
Lovely. I love what you did with in a third step there, because you went very high on a third step and then came back down for a fourth element. It's almost like you ignored the fact it was a list. And I love that. And that worked really, really well.
I thought it was an oddly written third step, because normally...
Yes, it goes first, second, third, fourth. Yes, absolutely.
That gave me a chance to smoosh them all together a bit more.
Yeah, to change it a bit, change it up a bit.
But Sam, knowing what was either at the beginning or the end, obviously has a better idea than we do.
A little bit, yeah.
But you're quite... I mean, when I read it through the first time, I thought you had to think about how to say that third step. Because it says first step, secondly, and then you have to read through the sentence to say third step, but to make it sound natural.
Yes, it's connecting.
Because then it comes back to the fourth element.
So making those all connect up together so that it sounds as though you're moving on to something that a third something without saying third at the beginning. That's why it's why I chose that little bit actually from it, because I thought it's really interestingly written actually. What it did was it forced me to go away from that corporate, firstly, blah, blah, blah,
of
blah,
course,
blah. Secondly, la, la, la. Thirdly, and fourthly, because that has a very particular rhythm to it, which can be felt to be a little didactic, and I don't think they wanted that.
Fair.
So how long was it in total?
Each one, so I had 3 of them, I think that was about 4 minutes long. I think each of them were about 4 minutes long. I mean, I didn't get to do it to the visuals, but they're obviously being put to visuals.
Well, it is worthwhile remembering that these are real scripts that we've been working on, but we have changed names and some details to avoid copyright issues. Haven't we, Sam?
We have indeed. Oh, my God, we have.
There weren't any names in that one.
No, there weren't, to be
obviously. There weren't.
But in your script, Margaret...
Yes.
You brought us a really interesting script, actually. So can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it's a commercial for a race. And the voiceover is actually the city.
So you are embodying a city.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, we've left in the directions from the client. Do you want to just read us those?
OK. Vilnius is a city of respectable age, and accordingly, in its self-assured, friendly, slightly flirtatious yet polite manner, this is how it would like to be described.
I know why you got the part now. I know why they gave it to you.
I'm glad you said it there before I said the next bit. A seasoned woman, still active and ready to conquer mountains, hosting grand celebrations at her place, inviting everyone who shares the same connection with Vilnius.
So what did you kind of take all of that stuff on board?
Oh, yes. I read it and thought, that's me, I can do that.
Were you self-directing this, or was this a directed session?
No, it was a director session with 4 of them.
Oh,
4 of them.
I have to say, I would argue that that's an awful lot of information.
It is for
you to try
commercial.
and create. I mean, you've got to be self-assured, friendly, slightly flirtatious, polite, still active, a seasoned woman, able to conquer mountains. It's a lot. There.
Well, it's me. I mean, what do you expect? That's what I do.
I mean, to be fair, that is a good description, isn't it, Margaret? To be fair, I can tell why they got you to do it.
So how do you then, or are you a past master at being able to just simply bring your own self to it?
Well, it's as an actress, you have all of this information and you can compile it in your head and you imagine the character, or I do, and it's what comes out, I suppose.
I mean, we talk about visualization all the time, don't we, Sam? And that is key to this kind of character, I would have thought.
Absolutely.
I'd love to hear Mark doing a flirtatious seasoned woman.
Well, I might, but I'm going to wait just a moment because I'm going to get Sam to do it first. And we know that Sam does flirtatious and we know that she does gorgeous women in commercials a lot. So I'm interested to hear what you do, Sam.
Yeah, well, now you've mentioned that, so am I. Right. Okay, right. Hey, it's me, Vilnius, the vibrant capital of Lithuania and the world capital of road running 2023. If you share my passion for running, you simply can't miss the opportunity to meet me this fall. I promise to take your breath away in the ultimate global running festival alongside the world's fastest runners. If you want to win a one-of-a-kind World Champs medal, register now, because the only running I'm not fond of is running out of time. See you soon.
Nice.
Oh,
I think
quite
I'd have done the
different.
see you soon differently, definitely.
But the see you soon can be done so many different ways, can't it?
Oh, I did it several times.
Interesting.
They went back to the original, but
I did.
I wondered if they would have wanted. I guess it would be too much of a layer. I wondered if they wanted almost running. Hey,
I was wondering
it's
that.
me, Vilnius.
No,
they
because
couldn't
she's
do
a
that. Actually,
refined lady.
Okay.
Might sound like something else anyway, quite frankly.
Yes,
Well,
I'm
yes,
reminded
enjoy
of that Nike script that Alexia brought us a few weeks ago that I was massively out of breath on. But so it's not that. It's definitely not that. I liked that, Sam. I thought I could picture Vilnius being the lady character there. I'm going to have a bit more difficulty with that, I think.
Yes, funnily enough. You can be a masculine Vilnius.
I might have to be.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me, Vilnius, the vibrant capital of Lithuania and the world capital of road running 2023. If you share my passion for running, you simply can't miss the opportunity to meet me this fall. I promise to take your breath away in the ultimate global running festival alongside the world's fastest runners. If you want to win a one-of-a-kind World Champs medal, register now, because the only running I am not fond of is running out of time. See you soon.
Very nice. Very nice. I want more flirt, actually. I want more flirt from you.
I think I was also less seasoned than I might have
Careful
been.
than either of you. I think that was the end of that sentence.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think in the character in my head, I think possibly
I
was
see what you
slightly too young.
mean. Yes, I see what you mean.
And quite
Peppy.
bright. Yes, peppy,
Yeah.
bright, and,
Do you think
and pushy.
too bright there?
Yeah.
Well, yes, all those, yeah.
You were quite fast, which
Yep.
in a way, because it's a running thing, you might think it's fast.
Yeah.
I kind of
And
also
you were-
assumed it
and-
was a 30-seconder.
It is a 30-seconder.
Well, I'm almost absolutely sure I didn't get that in 30 then.
Sometimes it's interesting, Sam, when you say that and I go back in the edit and I time it and it is bang on 29 seconds. So it will be interesting
really?
to see. Yeah.
Okay. So that's very interesting. Did that become in the directed session? Did that become an issue? Because you feel as though you could definitely do more than 30 seconds here. So
Well,
Margaret,
the time become an issue.
Yeah, did
No,
the time
it was exactly right.
always bang on? Okay.
But I mean, they were getting me to do it all sorts of different ways, and
Yeah.
in the end, they ended up going, "Do you know how you did it the first time? Did you do it?"
That old one, yeah. Okay.
Oh, but it was slightly different,
You
and they
do.
had to feel that they wanted to give their direction.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely. So come on, I'd love to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
See if I can remember how I did it. Hey, it's me, Vilnius, the vibrant capital of Lithuania and the world capital of road running 2023. If you share my passion for running, you simply can't miss the opportunity to meet me this fall. I promise to take your breath away in the ultimate global running festival alongside the world's fastest runners. If you want to win a one-of-a-kind World Champs medal, register now, because the only running I am not fond of is running out of time. See you soon.
Oh, seductive.
Wow, yeah, that was far more seductive than I would have expected.
Yeah, me
No, I don't
too.
mean from you. I mean far more seductive than I would have
From the script.
expected.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, from the words actually.
And
From
yet
the
they are all
words,
there and
yeah.
it does work brilliantly. I'm interested
Yeah.
that they... Did you offer them that to start with as your first one and then go through a bunch of different ones and then kind of
Yeah.
wheel back to
Yeah.
that?
I have to confess, I don't think I would have got that from either the script or their description.
Not from the description, no, I agree.
Still active, ready to
Well,
conquer mountains.
she's self-assured, friendly, slightly flirtatious, which is the bit I picked up on.
Yeah.
A seasoned woman still active and ready to conquer mountains and hosting grand celebrations at her place.
Yeah.
So I thought, yes, she's a party
Interesting.
animal and she likes to
Yeah.
flirt.
She is, and that's probably why I felt that was a little bit too hello. But no, it worked really well.
They even invited me to go over and run in the race.
Did they?
They?
Were they offering to
Oh,
pay for
you-
you to go over?
Absolutely,
No,
should
they
have
just
done
said, come and
that.
do it. I went, in October.
Oh,
in
chili.
Lithuania.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
but apparently it's great fun.
Play, how do you say that?
So now here is the part of the show that can be both hugely enjoyable and utterly terrifying. It is the wildcard section.
Yes.
So let's see if we can approach these scripts in a completely different way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, Margaret.
Oh, you're going to give me something weird to do, aren't you?
No,
No, not at all.
You don't have to panic yet. No.
Can you pick one of the scripts and
Oh,
give Mark a new motivation?
Okay. Do script 1 as a child.
Oh, as a child. Okay. Right. Channel my inner child. It was a long time ago, you know, Margaret. So
I'm sure you can remember.
I'll try. The first element of due diligence implies adopting a policy commitment to respect all internationally recognised human rights. Secondly, you assess the risks and impacts along your full value chain. Accordingly, you implement measures to address the identified issues in a third step. The fourth element involves embedding human rights throughout the relevant functions of the organisation, such as human resources, procurement and internal audit.
Now, Bob, I will tell you what that means on the train home.
Thank you.
So don't worry.
Interesting that as a 7-year-old you knew some really long hard words,
But
but
not
didn't know
other
some
ones.
smaller, easier words.
Yeah. Impressive.
I think I was that kind of 7-year-old, to be honest, Margaret. I think it's like spelling tests I would ace and then other ones just fall over.
But I like the hesitant nature. I think kids are hesitant about, sort of reading stuff. So I did like that.
I'll tell you what I was doing in my head, and I wasn't actually doing it on the screen, was following it with my finger.
Oh, like kids do. That's so sweet.
And that was the visualisation I was trying for.
I was thinking that you were a child who'd been coached in how to do it because you were in a recording studio and doing this. So as a child, you've got to get it right.
Yes, I could have added that.
That is true. So I'm going to give you one,
Me?
Margaret.
Oh, okay.
So I want you...
I probably won't understand what you're going to tell me to do.
No, I absolutely will. I want you to be a train announcer.
Oh, great one.
God.
Great
Now,
one. I love
my
it.
Mind the gap.
suspicion is script 1 is the easier option.
Agreed.
So you're going to give me script 2.
Don't do it.
No, I think script 2. I believe in you, Margaret.
I think, Sam, bits of script 2 lend itself to that.
They do.
I think.
They do. There's a certain rhythm, isn't there,
Yeah.
to a train announcer?
I've got to try and remember what a train announcer sounds like. I spend all my time in a box.
Exactly. Well, yes. Well, you can imagine yourself being in that box, but high up in the station, maybe
Yes,
overseeing
true.
a
Yeah.
station. Tapping the mic. Hello.
Hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's me, Vilnius, the vibrant capital of Lithuania and the world capital of road running 2023. If you share my passion for running, you simply can't miss the opportunity to miss me this fall. I promise to take your breath away in the ultimate global running festivals alongside the world's fastest runners. If you want to win a one-of-a-kind World Championships medal, register now, because the only running I am not fond of is running out of time. See you soon.
Oh, so good.
I think you're absolutely right. A train announcer
So
would have got to that end
good.
and just sped up. Yeah, no, lovely.
I really liked that. I really.
Because I
Right
haven't the
from the
foggiest
off.
idea how I sounded.
From the off, that felt good.
Nice.
Excellent.
Maybe I'll get train announcing jobs now. You
Train
never know.
announcing.
Right then, Sam, one for
Yours.
you.
Oh, there's a little
And
horse to do.
I think I'm going to go for Vilnius because it's more of a character-based thing that I'd like you to
Right.
do. I would like you to think gnarled, wizened, witch, like the three witches at the beginning of thingy that I'm not going to say out loud, but you know the one that the Scottish play. One of those gnarled old crones talking about Vilnius would be lovely.
I think so too. Right, let me get into the... Okay.
Hey, It's me, Vilnius, the vibrant capital of Lithuania and the world capital of road running 2023. If you, little boy, share my passion for running, come into my little gingerbread house and don't miss the opportunity to meet me this fall. I promise to take your breath away in the ultimate global running festival alongside the world's fastest runners. If you want to win a one-of-a-kind world champs medal, do register now. Come along, because the only running I'm not fond of is running out of time. See you soon.
Scary. Lovely, but scary.
I am scary.
Isn't it amazing what you can do with just one sheet of paper with words on?
Absolutely.
How different people can interpret in so many different ways.
Yes.
It's almost like you've read the synopsis of this podcast, Margaret.
But it is. I genuinely do. I mean, even after we're on the 30th episode, I think.
30th episode. Well done, everyone.
But even after that, I am constantly amazed at how well different people interpret stuff in the first place, and then by bringing something new to it, you completely break the rhythm that you had before with it. I think it's fascinating.
I mean, I've had directions saying, OK, let's start at the end. Do the last sentence first.
Yeah.
Or
I
take a
quite
middle
like that.
sentence and put that first. And it really does make you see things differently.
Yeah, I quite like that sometimes.
And we almost always, not always, but mostly when I was directing promos at the BBC, we almost always got them to do the opening line last.
Did you?
Having
that's
done it in the first time, but with then they'd warm up, they'd do all the tags, and then they were warm enough to come back and do the opening line often.
Well, if you'd like a go in the comfort of your own booth, it's only for fun. The scripts are in the show notes.
They certainly are. And we'd really like some fresh ideas for wildcards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you fancy, anyone out there, if you fancy giving us some new ways of reading these scripts, we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Now, it's probably really easy. You could either DM us, wherever you find us on Instagram, either individually on social media, if that's easier for you, or we have got, how do you say that podcast on Instagram? It is at HDYST podcast. Or, of course, you can email us at podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk.
Yeah, that would be good. What new wildcard ways can you think of? That would be lovely. But it's question
The more complicated, the better.
It's question time now, though, Margaret and Sam. Our question this week is, besides the big obvious stuff like equipment and voice coaching and demos, what has been your best voiceover investment?
Margaret, do you have any thoughts on this?
I can say it's probably networking with other voiceovers, listening to podcasts, and joining organisations that can help you. I recently was part of Small Business Britain, and they did a course on all sorts of things that could help your business.
Well, there you go. See, so that's a business investment. Yeah.
A lot of it's going back over things that you already knew but forgotten about or didn't do, and then thought, oh gosh, I must do that. Why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
Interesting. And
So
value
making
for
yourself
money.
active. Oh yeah, didn't cost me anything.
Great. Well, even better. Investment in time rather than money. Yeah, very nice.
Time.
And that's what conferences and joining organisations and stuff is, and networking is all about, isn't it? The investment in time necessarily rather than money. Sam, for me, I'm going to go a bit more basic than that because, yes, obviously those things. I think when I moved house, I had a bespoke booth built, and that was quite expensive, but has done 8 years so far and is still nice and sound, which is great. But I also think that the thing that I spent quite a lot of money on nearly 2 years ago now was the rebranding exercise I did for britishvoiceover.co.uk, and I went to Helen B, and she is marvellous. The Bs are great. You won't hear
Was that really 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Gosh.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? And she did all of the rebranding for britishvoiceover.co.uk, and I love what she's done. It was quite expensive. It was also quite a lot of time involved in the decision making and going forward with that. But it's absolutely done what I needed it to do in terms of reinvigorate my brand.
Yeah.
You went to Helen as well, didn't you, Sam?
I did, but she didn't do my brand. My brand was already there. She did a fantastic job of completely overhauling my website. I mean, she's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we did it the other way round, Sam, didn't we? So she didn't do your brand, but she did do your website, and she did my brand, but didn't do my website.
Yeah.
Whereas Sam, told me I was my brand. So.
You are.
I mean, you
are
are
your brand.
Absolutely.
Well, funny enough, one of the first things you said, which was your best voiceover investment, was networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are very memorable, and that is in the best
In a great way.
possible
Oh, no, in a
Really.
great way.
I mean,
we love
really
you. You
memorable.
know that.
You were one of the first people that I met. I remember when I went became a voiceover.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
and we had a long conversation, and you were pounced on by all sorts of people.
I was. But I do remember that very distinctly. And you were very, very, very memorable. And that's an absolute asset to have, because that's what we're all aiming for, to be remembered and be rebooked. I think probably my best investment was, because I came from a presentation and branding background. I mean, I wasn't a brand, but I worked in
you worked very closely
promotions
with them, didn't you?
and worked and created brands for created brands for the BBC, and I knew how important having a good brand was. And so I went to a friend at the BBC who was a designer, and she created my brand, and that was right at the start, and it hasn't changed, and it's developed, but it stood me in really good stead, and I felt legit when I had it.
Nice.
And I think that really helped me, and because of the process she took me through, it was able to inform everything I did, the photos I had taken, the way I presented, if you like, the way I presented myself out into the world.
Agreed. I mean, that's what Helen did for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
absolutely
useful.
Took it stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's a process to get there. But once you're there and you see what you get, it's phenomenal. And yes, it does. It influences every other sphere, doesn't it?
It's also everywhere. You put your brand on every bit of,
or you should.
communication you do. Or I just personally, for me, it was probably my best voiceover investment. Yeah, having a good brand. So, Margaret, thank you so much.
Oh, thank
you
you so much.
Part of, how do you say that?
How do you say
Eventually, you came on finally after episode 30, and it's like...
I am episode 30.
You are indeed.
Are episode 30. And of course, all Margaret's details can be found in the show notes.
Yes.
Alongside all the scripts.
Quite, yes. Both of today's scripts are in the show notes, so you can have a read yourself. Please have a go. And if you fancy it, send it to us, podcast@britishvoiceover.co.uk. We'd love to hear what you do with them. Some very brave people have sent them, and we love hearing them. Thank you.
We absolutely do. And of course, it is the same email address, or DM us on social media for those wildcard suggestions.
Well, if you enjoy listening, we would love you to write a review on Apple Podcasts, please. And also follow us on Instagram using @HDYST podcast.
And that's it for this week. Thank you again, Margaret.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Margaret.
And thank you, everybody. This is the bit where we all say the title of the show together at the end. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So let's see how it will go. So we will be back next week with more scripts and another voiceover guest when we will be asking...
How do you say that?
How do you say
How
that?
do you say that?
Oh, how do you say that?
And we all
Mark?
said it differently. How do you say that?
How do you say that?